conditions apply.
Let's face it, running a small business is already hard. There's sales, accounts, marketing, HR, the headaches are endless. But that's where Golgi's B2B marketplace can help. Golgi takes the pain out of sourcing and procurement for your business. With Golgi, you can connect with a vast range of sellers, even ones you won't find on search engines. You just type in the product you need and the sellers come to you with offers, leaving you to do what you do best. Running your business. Want to buy? Golgi. That's GOLLGI.com.
Click, check, buy that fast. Get a credit limit of up to £1,500 when you need it. .co.uk without it affecting. Intelligent Lending Limited is a credit broker. Capital One is the exclusive lender. Representative 39.9% APR variable. Borrow and spend. There for when you need it most. Visit ocean.co.uk.
The time your little one has a temperature. The time you find a lump. When you hate how you feel inside or can't get to sleep at night. We all have times when we're not sure what to do. In those times, it's good to have Bupa by your side. With Bupa Health Insurance, you get around-the-clock access to expert advice with 24/7 support from nurses and GPs, so you can stay in control of your health. Wherever you are, search Bupa Health Insurance for quote. Pre-existing conditions excluded.
Right now at your local co-op, get 2 packs of our irresistible hand-cut crisps for just £2. With flavours like pigs in blankets, they're perfect for watching a Christmas film. Trying to watch a Christmas film. Co-op, it's what we do. Subject to availability, see participating stores for details. Offer ends 29th of December 2020.
James O'Brien on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
I don't know whether I'm going to regret this or not, but I guess if we're ever going to do it, today is the day to do it. My colleagues tell me that I could have continued putting questions to the Mayor of London about road closures until 2022, never mind until 1 o'clock today. Mystery Oracle's on the way at 12, all things being equal. So I think we're in on roads, possibly for the first time in the history of this programme. I'm not interested in parking tickets at this point in proceedings, but I am interested in this. But with the caveat, and if you're kind enough to listen to the programme on a regular basis, you'll know that this is a sort of a moving story, not moving as in emotional, but moving as in changing. I began my career on LBC supremely. I couldn't drive, could I, when I started working here? Mrs. O'Brien insisted that I pass my driving test when she was pregnant with our first child on the frankly ridiculous grounds that she wasn't prepared to drive herself to the labour ward once her waters had broken. But anyway, I did learn to drive, but I never got the petrol gene. I had it as a little boy. I used to send off from boarding school to Formula One teams asking for stickers. And Dad covered the motoring industry in the Midlands more than probably anything else that he did in his career as the Midlands correspondent on the Telegraph. So Longbridge, British Leyland Rover, all of those huge industrial stories of the 80s and I can't really. And then I guess I went away to boarding in the middle of Yorkshire. My school is going through a very odd time at the moment. The Secretary of State for Education has banned them from taking any new pupils. I have not been able to get to the bottom of precisely why. As you will probably know, it got caught up in it was the scene of a horrible child sex abuse scandal over many, many, many years, which the school authorities did very, very little to properly address. The feeling among Ostweek is for many of us profoundly puzzling. I mentioned I had a girlfriend. I felt that little impulse. I thought, I'm due a midlife crisis. After all, 49 next month. I'm due a midlife crisis. There's a lime green but I thought I can't buy a car just because it's such an obnoxious colour. I don't know anything about what's under the bonnet, and it probably costs a fortune anyway, and I wouldn't be able to afford it. But anyway, I digress enormously. I am one of the only radio phone-in hosts in the world who's not obsessed by cars. And there's traditionally, radio is at its most popular during. It's actually called the Drive Time Show, so it's professionally injurious, perhaps, for me over the years to have been so sceptical about motoring issues. But just because you rarely get interesting calls on the subject doesn't mean that people aren't interested in the subject. And this is perhaps the point I've missed over the years, and it's come home to roost rather in the last few weeks or the last few months, because all over the country, Roger's already in touch. James is doing roads as a subject. Has anyone at LBC checked his temperature? I don't think he's very well. Well, don't make me regret it, Rog, is the simple response to that, because this is unprecedented. What has happened on roads up and down the, because when you are working your furloughed, you are not you're not behaving in the way that you habitually behave, and one of the biggest areas of habitual behaviour is transport, is getting from A to B, or even from A to Z. And it is, when you think about it, if you take a step back, regardless of how passionate you are on the issue already, just press pause. I think next year less drama this year, but obviously events rather overtook us on that front. Next year, I think "and relax" is going to be the motto of the programme. If we could all just relax a little bit more, maybe things would begin to get better quicker. But I want you to just relax, because even if you're Chris Boardman, even if you're Bradley Wiggins, these are just names that I use to convey enormous enthusiasm for cycling, or you might be Lewis Hamilton, or I don't know, Nigel Mansell, which are names that I use to convey enormous enthusiasm for driving, probably entirely unfairly on all four of those gentlemen. But just pause that passion for a minute, because it is objectively remarkable what has happened. Roads that you've been cruising up and down for 30 years have suddenly had enormous barriers erected in the middle of them. Turns that you've taken, there's one near me, very near me, that even now, I think it's been in place for a few months, and even now you see people to the point where they go, where the hell did that come from? There's a brand new red and white plastic barrier across half of the road to stop you turning left out of it, but you can still turn left into it if you follow me. And it is incredible, and I don't know whether it's good or bad. I'll tell you what I do know. Number one, I know that we have to change our behaviour incredibly when it comes to fossil fuels, okay? Number two, I know that the level of disruption at the moment is almost unbelievable, and it seems to me reasonable for many people to react to that negatively and unhappily. But that is literally all I could tell you for certain. Something must be done. Yeah, I sound like a sort of Daily Mail columnist. Something must be done. Never let on that you've got no idea what, because then people will realise that you're full of hot air and making it up as you're going along. So something must be done, point one. Something is being done, point two. Something immense is being done, point three. Is there any chance they might have got it right, is question 4. 03456060973. And I guess I could fill up the phone board in a nanosecond with very, very angry people, and you can have your say, but I would quite like to hear from someone who can either defend or explain the logic of what we're seeing, because the conversation seems to be confined to people who are furiously opposed to it. Let's head towards the news. It's 11:01.
On your radio, on Global Player,
Play LBC.
leading Britain's conversation. This is
Teaching unions say plans to allow more generous grades in next year's A-level. Much needed relief to teachers and pupils. Actions being taken to compensate for the loss of teaching time during the pandemic. Some students in England will receive advance notice of topics ahead of the tests, and there may also be exam aids when sitting papers. But these students are still anxious.
Been a bit worried about what's going to happen with the GCSEs, but then we get worried about if we're going to get COVID, what's the risk of what's going to happen. Just worried about everything.
It's quite vague what they mean by when it says generous marking. They haven't fully explained it.
The first coronavirus vaccines are due to arrive in the UK in a matter of hours, but there are concerns those at the top of the priority list will not be able to get it. There are issues with the logistics of getting the Pfizer jab into care homes, because it has to be kept in large batches and at a very low temperature. The Education Secretary has suggested the UK is getting a coronavirus vaccine first because it's a much better country than France, Belgium and the US. The European regulator has criticised the approval of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine using emergency powers, insisting that its own slower approach is more appropriate. But Gavin Williamson believes it's down to superior experts.
I just reckon we've got the very best people in this country, and we've obviously got the best medical regulators, much better than the French have, much better than the Belgians have, much better than the Americans have. That doesn't surprise me at all, because we're a much better country than every single one of them.
People living in tiers 1 and 2 of the COVID restrictions in England will be able to travel to Wales again from Friday evening. But the Welsh Government says those living under tier 3 will only be allowed in for specific reasons. Rail upgrade works will be postponed this Christmas and roadworks cancelled to try to cut down on delays. The roads and the trains are expected to be busy while coronavirus travel restrictions are eased to allow families to reunite over the festive period. Supermarkets have so far agreed to pay the government back almost £1.5 billion in tax relief. Aldi's joined Morrison's, Tesco and Sainsbury's in reimbursing some of the money it saved from the business rates relief. The tax holiday was announced in March by the Chancellor to help retailers and hospitality firms forced to close due to the pandemic. In the city, a short time ago, the FTSE 100 was trading down 11 points at 64.51. The pound buys €1.10 and $1.34. The weather, a very cold day with rain for much of England and Wales. Wintry showers over parts of Scotland and Northern Ireland. Windy in the far south, a high of 9 degrees. From Global's newsroom, I'm Holly Harris.
Christmas is just around the corner, and you're scratching your head about what to get for Secret Santa. And then it hits you. That's it. A scratch card. Perfect. There's one thing off the Christmas list. Now that feels like winning. So roll with it and turn the big day into Wednesday with a scratch card. Give someone a Wednesday with a scratch card from the National Lottery. Your numbers make amazing happen. Please gift responsibly. Rules and procedures apply. Players must be 16 or over.
This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with James O'Brien.
4 minutes after 11 is the time. You are listening to James O'Brien on LBC, where for possibly the first time in getting that, we're having a conversation almost exclusively about roads. I just want to know more by 12 o'clock today than I do now. That's all. I want to know more. And low traffic neighbourhoods. Clearly, having spoken to the Mayor about it this morning, the Mayor of London, I have a slightly better understanding. So the government obviously wants this. Central government wants low traffic neighbourhoods. And they gave a bunch of money to councils in order to accelerate the creation of low traffic neighbourhoods, and councils have taken advantage.
And that's it for
which
today,
has
I
seen
think.
a reduction in road
Catch you later, ta-ta.
usage.